It's a pleasant morning here at Broadcasting House. Hello and welcome to your breakfast show. Good morning, Sarah. As always, this program starts today with analysis and views on issues of national concern. Today is Thursday, the 16th of July, 2026. And my name is Francis Bernard and until
Emmanuel Sama. Well, we start the program with a quote of the day. It's from American writer Mark Twain, and it says, whenever you find yourself on the side of the majority, it is time to pause and reflect.
Definitely.
Because all the majority may not always be right. And often, that is always the thing, especially in Africa. The majority are not always right. But when the minority speaks, people twist it.
In a program this morning, Leone Bar Association PRO speaks on the legislation and other processes leading to their upcoming AGM and elections.
And we shall be talking to a flag bearer aspirant of the All People's Congress Party, APC. But all this, we invite you to participate by sending your text message to the number displayed on your screen, or join us on Facebook at SLBC Live. The program you're watching is Good Morning Leone, live on the SLBC. Stay tuned for the next 1 hour.
Live on SLBC, and you can have a say in the program by sending your comments and views to the number on the screen, or you go to our Facebook page SLBC. When we start with our first issue of the day, as the controversy continues through the process leading to the AGM and elections of the Leone Bar Association, the executive is concerned about a recent press release issued by Ms. Martina Ibenda concerning the electronic registration exercise for the 2026 annual general meeting and elections. The executive says it welcomes constructive engagement by members, but necessary to clarify that certain assertions in the press release are based on an incorrect interpretation of the association's memorandum and articles of association. The executive states that they have at all times acted within the powers conferred on it by the registered M&A and in fulfillment of its responsibility to ensure that the affairs of the association, including its electoral processes, are conducted lawfully, transparently, and efficiently. But for more on this and the registration, verification, and eligibility of members to vote in the upcoming elections, we have the PRO of the Leone Bar Association, Alfred Kamanda. Good morning, Mr. Kamanda. Welcome to the SLBC.
Good morning, SLBC. Good morning, the people of Leone.
And please note that we also extended our invitation to a member of the Martina Ibenda camp for an equal opportunity to clear the air, and we decline with excuses of being busy. And we'll get them whenever they are around. But Mr. Kamada, let's talk about a press release that you are concerned with. Why? Because they are just raising concern about areas that they think should be rectified before going to the polls. For example, they are saying the electronic registration is something new that you are bringing.
Thank you very much. So, firstly, I would say members actually can raise concerns, genuine concerns. Yes, and they need to do that in good faith, not in bad faith.
So do you think what they did was not in good faith?
Yes. So this particular presser is not in good faith. However, we've responded and clarified issues in respect of that. But even with that, if you have concerns with the process, I think you should have addressed it to us as members of the executive. But rather, it was addressed to someone else. However, since we are working in the best interest of the company and members of the association, we then released ours, which is dated 14th July 2026, and we made very clear clarifications. One has to do with executive authority under Article 19. So they were saying we don't have the powers to do what we are doing, but no. So now let's just break this down. That's against the backdrop of the Kenya elections, which a number of Sierra Leoneans are not proud of, which took away some aspects of our respect and dignity as lawyers. Now, we were not in conduct of the said elections. We were only participants. For example, I went to Kenya as a member who was paid his annual subscription, who was fully paid up, and who was qualified to vote and be voted for. That's all. Now we went to Kenya and we had a number of challenges. We came back and there was this division. We are going into another election. Did we learn from the Kenya elections? Do we want to correct the wrongs of the Kenya elections? Do we want to build on the successes? Because no matter what the challenges are, there must have been some success from the Kenya elections. And the division within the bar did not start with the Kenya elections. However, it's got to a height wherein today we have the Lawyers Society. Now, what do we do? And apart from the Kenya elections, it's the Kenya elections, the outcome of that elections, we have members of Team Martina Igbenda who have been questioning every move we make as an executive. To them, oh, you want to disenfranchise us, oh, you want to lead these elections again in your favor, oh, you want to, the process is shrouded in secrecy and things like that. Oh, you are even registering, they even accused us of registering non-members to participate in the process.
So Alfred, I want you to give us a breakdown of how this electronic registration exercise is like. I want you to create a mental picture before we go over to what your M&A say with regards this process that you brought up.
So, because of all of these concerns raised, we've now decided to have the e-registration. The e-registration is backed up with the actual manual registration that we've always done. So what you do is that if you are a member who was paid for this year, because if we are going to also go by the M&A, which says fully paid up members, the rest of the Martina Igbenda team are not qualified. All of them. They did not pay for the 2025. And
how do you know that someone belongs to Martina and that of the two
I did not say members who belong to the team of Martina.
No, but you said,
I said the rest of the Martina Igbenda team. What I mean, Martina as president, Ibn as secretary general, the vice president, that's the team I'm talking about. You know, there are two teams, Team Tuma and Team Martina.
And then the Team Tuma will be qualified.
I said if we are going by the M&A.
If we are going by the team,
of course,
the only qualified team.
We paid.
Is it because you are in position to do that?
No. This is simple. When it comes to professional bodies like SLAJ, like the Sierra Leone Bar Association, the Association of Economists, Association of Accountants, basically you have your organizational rules. With SLAJ, for example, I'm very sure you pay membership dues.
We do.
You pay annual subscriptions.
We do.
And there are qualifications to participate in those processes, like if you have an AGM.
Definitely.
Yes. So I am saying, for the year 2025, Martina did not pay, Ibn did not pay, and all of those members contesting under Team Martina. However, if we are going to disqualify these people,
so, Mr. Kamara, let's make some clarifications. Now, Mr. Kamara, let's make some clarifications.
Yes.
You have other members of the Sierra Leone Bar Association who maybe they will be voting for 2 man, and your own executive, your own team, there are still people in that team that had not paid their dues before 2026. Am I right?
Which people are you talking about?
I'm saying
You're
you
talking
still
about
have
general
member-
membership now.
Yes, it's not only people in the team, Martina and Cam.
Of course.
So that's that. Why are you taking them out? Why are you pointing at them?
Wow.
This is a national TV.
Yes. Now,
Uh,
these are the people who've shown interest in contesting. Okay. So now with the M&A, for example, let me be. This is something I actually will have to. Article 32. Only fully paid up members of the association are eligible to contest or vote in elections for the executive. You understand? Now I am saying, if we have to go strictly by this article, they will not be qualified. However, we are not going to stick with this rule because we want to encourage participation. That's what I'm saying.
that in itself is not good. It's not good process, because if this is what your M&A is saying, this is like your Bible. This is what you live by.
Yeah.
As determined by association.
So you
That's
want
what
us to
I-
disqualify them?
So I'm not saying that you should disqualify them, but it's the same thing. They are saying that you are not doing the right thing. We are saying that they have not done the right process. So where do we stand?
No. So let me just make this clarification, especially in line with the registration process. Yeah. Now, if we are going with this, they are not qualified to contest the said elections because they are not fully paid. However, in the interest of having everybody participate in the process, in the interest of us not disenfranchising this sect of people who have not complied fully with paying up their dues, we've accepted that as long as you've paid the dues for this year, 2026, you're qualified to vote and be voted for. Now, there are concerns that we've registered law school students who are not qualified members of the Sierra Leone Bar Association. That's a letter written by Ebon to the law school with no evidence, nothing supporting the allegations, just to create doubt in the entire process. So, based on these concerns, we said, okay, now let's put measures in place that will create room for transparency, that will create room for fairness, that will create room for accountability. We are holding ourselves accountable. One of these measures is to introduce the e-electronic system. Now, a number of them are telling you, oh, we don't get receipts and things like that. No, the receipts are being issued currently at the Secretariat by the Treasurer.
So let me just go through this message I received from one of your members who registered through this e-registration. Thank you for registering. I think this is a message you sent to those who've completed their electronic. Thank you for registering for the 2026 annual general meeting. Your registration has been captured. Please present this unique code at the annual general meeting for checking. And then you have this one saying receipt number as 00 this and unique code. Why do I need a unique code when I have my receipt?
So for members of the public, this is a program to educate our membership and the public generally. Now, when you go, the treasurer presents the receipt to you if you have paid for this year, which is the SLBA receipt. When you're presented with the SLBA receipt, you take it to the IT room where the e-registration is done. When you get to the IT room, what you have to present, very simple. You present the same receipt with your name on it. You present an ID card, which can be the SLBA ID card. It can be your driver's license. It can be your national passport. It can be the national identification card. Now you are also asked, which year were you called to the bar? For example, I say, I was called to the bar in 2017. What's the name of your chambers? Because somebody is saying, we are now registering people who are not members of the Sierra Leone Bar. So because of this, we want to tell people that only persons who are members, who are lawyers called to the bar and who are fully paid up for this year will participate in this process. Now, upon completion of this process, you are also asked for your phone number, you are also asked for your email address. Now, upon completion, you receive an automatic email or SMS, or both, to tell you you are now qualified. So, a code is generated. You present this when you get to the AGM venue.
So you don't need another receipt, you just need this message, this SMS sent to you.
If you present this message, it shows you've gone through the process. However,
so that means
however,
that means before the AGM, you guys will not be putting out the names of the delegates list.
Grateful. This is the beauty of what we are doing. For the very first time, best practice demands. We are actually trying to catch up. I will tell you this. Before now, I've told you, if we are going by this M&A, we are actually far behind, 50 years behind current practice globally. 50 years behind what SLAG is doing right now when it comes to elections. You understand? Now, what we are doing, after we collate all of this, for the very first time, the list will be published. So in fact, what we've been doing recently is that every day we update how many members have registered. Every day.
So when will that list be published according to your M&A? Because for us, we have the list published, maybe, I think it's a month before the AGM, a week, then people will raise queries and then they go and they adjust and then put out the list again before even we go.
More than a week. You are being very unfair to me now, because I have just told you and told the general public that if we are going by SLAG, we are 50 years behind when it comes to electoral practice. You understand? Before you go to the elections, maybe 6 months or even more than that, you have the electoral commissioners.
Yes.
Ours is saying you have to do it in the hall on the day of voting. Now let's say you have 1,000 lawyers, and according to the M&A, it's one person. Is it even possible? Practical now, very practical. It's not even possible for one person to conduct.
Quickly, before you go further, are there plans to review your M&A?
Yes, sure, there are plans. In fact, we did set up a committee during these 2 years to actually have it reviewed. But in the interest of the general membership, we are not going to shy away from the fact that there's a huge division within the bar. You have persons who have now gone, they've established the Lawyers Society. You have others who've decided to just stay back, don't participate in the processes of the bar. And you have us who are part of the bar and who are trying equally to bring others on board. That no matter what has happened over the years, especially in Kenya, we should not turn our backs on the bar.
So Mr. Commander, aside of the M&A, don't you have another document, let's say for the Constitution?
No. The M&A is our Constitution, basically, because it's a company.
Okay.
So it's a company limited by guarantee. So as a result of that, we have an M&A. And this M&A clearly gives us our objectives and things we're supposed to do. However, in addition to this M&A, we also have the Companies Act. Because since it's a company, it's governed by company. And over and above that, you also have case laws. And you also have administrative law, because basically it's an issue of administration. If you're a director of a company, what you're supposed to do, what you're not supposed to do, and things like that. So with this electronic e-register, it's not in any way cumbersome. This is not in any way trying to create an advantage for one party over the other. What we are trying to do is promote transparency. Ensure you can hold us accountable. Because now, before you go to the hall, you have a list. You have the names of the persons who are qualified. Now, if you go to that hall and you have more people votes, you have an issue to pick up. But if you only go to the hall for the past elections, including the Kenya elections, I did not know I was qualified to vote or be voted for until I went to the hall. And that was the day a number of people actually came with genuine concerns that, look at my slip, my name is not on the list. Why is this so? But we are not in conduct of the Kenya elections. I was just an ordinary member of the Saloon Bar Association.
Okay.
I did put myself up to be elected as PR. And when I won, I made promises. And one of those that we've not completed, and which is very close to my heart, is a review of this M&A.
Alright, so but election is now here, and I know you want to go for a re-election, but we'll have to come back to you to tell us how people are agreed to go against Ms. Tendo. But this is Good Morning Sierra Leone, and we are broadcasting live from Broadcasting House, New England Ville in Freetown. He is Alfred Kamala, and he is the PRO of the Sierra Leone Bar Association. He's actually here to talk about campaign for him to be re-elected in that office. But we'll come back to him because we have another issue to deal with in the program.
Yes, this now will go over. It's two political issues, but in different dynamics.
This one is national.
This one is national.
And this one has to do with the lawyers.
Yes. So in the studio we have a flag bearer aspirant of the All People's Congress Party, Victor A.B. Davis. Victor A.B. Davis is an economist with over 30 years of experience in international development, finance, and public policy. He has served as the resident representative of the International Monetary Fund (IMF) to the Central African Republic, senior research economist with the African Development Bank. He was the head of economics department at Fabe College, University of Sierra Leone, among many other feathers to his cap, which he will share with us shortly. Welcome and good morning to the program.
Thank you.
So before going into this barrage of professional achievement in the political sphere, in the political field, who is Victor A.B. Davis? Because so many people are wondering, even me myself, I don't know Victor Davis when you talk about politics, political arena. So who is Victor A.B. Davis?
Victor A.B. Davis is a Sierra Leonean and a member of the All People's Congress. I've been a member of the All People's Congress since 2016. I've not been taking a public role because of my job as an international economist at the International Monetary Fund, but I've been very active within the party. I've supported the party in various ways, including financially and also technically by contributing to the writing of manifestos. So I'm well known within the party, and at the end of this campaign, the whole country would know me very well.
Mr. Davis, why have you decided to throw your hat into the race for the flag bearer aspirant of the APC when we have names, we have, I don't want to say dozens because it's not up to that, we have more than a dozen people running to become the flag bearer aspirant of the APC, and you are not even among the first 5 people or the first 10 that is being known among the public. Why?
Well, let me just point and correct what you're saying. It's not the public that's going to vote. This is not the presidential election itself. This is the internal flag bearer election. So what matters right now is my popularity within the party, how well known I am within the party.
So how known?
I'm well known within the party, and if you ask people within the party, they know me, so that is what matters right now.
This has to do with delegates.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a delegate election, and Mr. Kamanda said, I will tell you how difficult it is. I know he's now moving all over the place to make sure he gets people, delegates to vote for him in the forthcoming Bar Association election. And when you talk about delegate election, it's not just as easy as you think. And you being known in the party does not qualify you to be known and to be voted for. How known are you and how far have you gone, not only in the Western area, but in the villages where you have that layman that is a delegate of the voting in the APC convention?
I have reached out across the country to prospective delegates, because we don't know most of the delegates yet. They have not yet been elected. But I have reached out with it across the country to prospective delegates. I've reached out to all organs of the party, and I've also reached out to all the stakeholders in the party. So within the party, I am very well known, and I think I'm in good shape for the national convention where the flag bearer will be elected.
So Mr. Davis, for that APC are currently seated, looking at this, the SLBC program,
yes,
he or she might want to know what inspires, what's that personal ambition that moves you to say, oh, I want to go for the highest seat in the APC.
It's not just the highest seat in the APC, it's the highest seat in the land, ultimately. My ultimate objective is to be president of Sierra Leone, and the flag bearership is the means to becoming that president. I decided to step forward to offer my services to be the next president of Sierra Leone because the country is in deep crisis and we need a leader to save Sierra Leone. You've said there are many aspirants around, but I still see a gap. I still don't see that the leader who can save Sierra Leone.
Among all those aspirants,
I see myself as the best suited person to serve, to save the country.
Okay.
I have a clean record. I'm corrupt-free. I have a vast, I'm an economist, which puts me in a good position to lead the country because most of the problems facing Sierra Leone today are economic in origin. I have worked for international organizations, so I'm well connected with the international community. But I also know the problems of Sierra Leone because I lived in Sierra Leone, I grew up in Sierra Leone, I grew up in a poor family, in a poor home in the east end of Freetown. When I started primary school, I went to school barefoot, so I know poverty, I know hardship. And besides that, I've been engaged in so many community activities in Sierra Leone.
Dr. Davis, let's talk about all of the qualities you highlight in what you said.
Yes.
One, we said your aspirants do have it. What's your relationship with your aspirants, like Dr. Ibrahim Bangola, Joseph Fitzgerald Kamara, and the other popular names? What's your
My relationship with everyone is cordial, with all the other aspirants is cordial, because I don't think this is something that should breed enmity or hostility among us. We all are working for the same goal, to bring the APC back to power and for the APC to serve the country and lead the country out of the present crisis.
So Mr. Davis, we've had several leaders in Sierra Leone.
Yes.
All have come with one message, saying that they want to save the soul of Sierra Leone.
Yes.
But yet, the soul of Sierra Leone is yet to be saved. And you are still saying that you want to save Sierra Leone. What makes you unique or different, aside of those other previous leaders that have come up to say they want to save Sierra Leone, which they are unable to save Sierra Leone?
Well, you shouldn't just look at the message, look at the messenger, look at the character of the person. I have a character that speaks for itself. I built a reputation, for example, at Fabi College when I was the head of the Department of Economics there, a reputation of honesty, of being fair and transparent, of being hardworking, and a reputation of being somebody who's results oriented. So I have that, the character, the steadfast character, the upright character, and the determination and resourcefulness to succeed.
One will see, when you look at our leaders, most times before they go into office, when you see them, they are very decent character. But when once they go there, the system corrupts them. So let's talk about you in that light.
I'm not sure I agree with your analysis. Maybe you didn't do a thorough job of researching some of
you don't need to agree to it, but the perception. The perception, you know, because this is what many Syrians think. Because when you look at some of those people who have come for diverse leadership positions, some of them, if you look at their track record of different places they've headed, they have very good track records. But once they come into political positions, it's something.
Well, it's not just track record really measures your performance in office. It doesn't really measure. I don't think you're talking about character. Here I'm talking about character. Somebody can be the head of an institution, but that says nothing about the person's personal character. What we need to do as a nation when choosing our leaders is first, listen to the message of the leader or of the candidate, but also probe the character, the personal character, the personality, the traits, the features of that person. Go deep, do a deep dive into that. I think That's what probably what has been lacking.
All right. Thank you very much. He is Dr. Victor Davis, A.B. Davis, and he is a flag bearer aspirant of the All People's Congress. This is Good Morning, Sierra. We are broadcasting live from Broadcasting House, New England in Freetown. It's now time for us to take our health tips. In today's health tips, we'll take a look at when should you see a fertility specialist. Wondering if it's time to see a fertility specialist, reproductive endocrinologist and infertility expert shares key signs that may indicate it's time for an evaluation. Take a look at this short video and learn from it.
When should I see a fertility specialist? It really depends on age and how long you've been trying. We typically recommend if someone's been trying to conceive for a year with unprotected intercourse and hasn't been able to conceive, that they should see a fertility specialist. However, if someone is over the age of 35 and they've been trying to conceive for 6 months, then that's a good time to see a fertility specialist, just because as you get older, fertility decreases. So it's important to see someone sooner. If you have any specific questions about fertility, though, please follow up with your physician for questions.
Necessarily live on TV, and you can have your say on the program. You can do so by going to our Facebook page, SLBC Podcast, where we still have with us in the studios there Alfred Commander, prepare our officer by association. And Mr. Commander, I know you are seeking for re-election.
Yes.
To go into the office of this PRO of the Sierra Bar Association. You said you have an undone project which to complete. How far have you gone in engaging the electorate so that you convince them to vote for you?
I've done pretty well, especially with my team. We've reached out to the membership of the Sierra Bar Association through various means, and thank God I also have the leverage using the media when I come to these places to actually educate people on the programs and activities of the Sierra Bar Association leading to the AGM. So the people have the opportunity to see what Alfred Commander is made up of. They have also seen me in action. In fact, over the years I've received awards from the Sierra Bar Association in recognition of my outstanding service to the association. So we've reached out, and moreover, the people are seeing service. When you see me, you see a man who is willing and ready to serve the association. And during this period, we've done a number of things to collectively as a team, so we can actually earmark those things. For example.
So, Mr. Commander, before you come to those things, you understand? I would say in Kenema, what happened in Kenema, which puts a knife between the thing that binds you guys together. And one of the issues that people always have, if you have mentioned, is this M&A.
That's what
you understand.
Yeah.
And when you look at how everything that is spelled out in M&A, it tells that it may be one of the roots of all of these issues that you are having. You've been in office for 2 years, and you guys are unable to rectify these problems, and then you are seeking for a second term to say, okay, in this second term we are going to rectify it. Do you think a lawyer sitting outside there will say, how can I vote for these people when they are unable to rectify the problems that we are faced with?
Yes, I think so. And the key reason has to do with this. It's an issue of trust. We would have gone on in one day, review this M&A, and then bring it to the membership as an AGM, and then we adopt it. But do you know what's the problem there? There is a gap. The gap is for documents like this, just like how you have the 1991 Constitution, what you have to do is to ensure there is participation. ensure every other player, every other member is given the opportunity to participate. If not, even if you put together the best document, it will not produce the desired results. For example, today, Kenya has one of the best constitutions in Africa because the process itself leading to the enactment of that law was participatory. The people participated at every given stage. The same with the Sierra Leone Constitution, the Justice Cowan, something around. People participated at every stage. But now, upon completion, it was not put into fruition. If another person comes, maybe 5 years after, you cannot just go and take that document, you push it forward for it to be the new law. Things have changed in the past 5 years. Society has evolved. So the key reason why we did not actually review this has to do with the issue of trust, has to do with the issue of having others involved. You have just stated that we left Kenema divided, even though before Kenema there has been this division. But Kenema created a huge divide that when we came, we have our brothers and sisters, talented people who can contribute to making this document very workable. They have decided we are not going to participate in bar association activities. So now, if you go on, you set up a committee of just your own people who believe in you, and then you review this document. Will it be acceptable? Will it actually reflect the true intentions, aspirations, views, values of the general membership? It's a no. So because of that, even though we did set up the committee, we started the process, but we had to pause in the interest of having us all participate in the process.
Mr. Commander.
Yes.
So let's talk about legislation again.
Okay.
You know, there are concerns that elections was slated for the end of May. Am I right? Your first date for elections.
And so it was supposed to be in June.
In June, first week or so in June.
Yes.
But you postponed the elections for various reasons. And members were asking for you to open the registration process so that other members who had not registered before that date, the deadline was in May 29 or so, deadline, to also get the opportunity to register and participate in the process. But you've not done that.
Yes. So we actually understand the concerns of members who might want to register and participate in this process. So firstly, what we have not stopped is that we have not told you you cannot pay your membership dues, you cannot pay your subscriptions, you cannot pay your annual fees. We have not stopped you. What we have stopped is that even if you pay now, you're not qualified to participate in the current AGM that is about to take place on the 31st and the 1st.
Why?
Yes. Like I told you, it's all about preparation. The AGM itself, just like elections, is a cycle. There is pre-AGM, there is during AGM, and there is after. And now we are talking about an elective AGM. So since it's an elective AGM and we have introduced more transparent and accountable system in place, if we are going to generate a list before the election so that people know the membership, we have to do that now. You don't have to open up the registration portal anymore in respect of this election.
Those who think that it's disadvantageous on the part of those that are yet to register, because if you guys, you shifted the date twice.
Not twice.
It's maybe twice, because
not twice.
if you shifted the dates to this extent, don't you think that it is what fitting that you extend that time a bit, because you shifted the initial date for the conduct of the election. This is the call of the members, saying that in as much as you shifted the date for the elections this long, you should at least open up the time a bit for some of them to register.
So the beautiful thing is we live in a country where we've seen examples. So this is elections. We are here when elections were postponed. They were slated for a certain date and then postponed. Did NEC open up a new registration for people to register? No. Because elections are actually in different processes. There are different phases. For example, if we are actually going now by SLAG standards, for example, you have, I know you have your members nominated before the elections, correct?
Yeah.
So there is registration, which means you have to pay your dues and this and that and that and that. This notice for payment of annual general subscriptions, conference fees, membership dues has been out since February. We have, it's because it's for the year. It has been out since that period. People have gone, they've paid. Those who wanted to participate have paid. They've shown interest in it all. And we slated. At every given stage, we actually issued out notices, public notice, informing them that we have now slated a deadline because we want to introduce transparent measures. We want to ensure the elections are free, fair, and credible. We want to ensure we properly cater for our members who will be attending this conference. For example, if you have to attend a conference, we have to book the hall. We need money for that. We have to actually account for the members who will be attending that conference. We have to prepare food for them. We have to provide a number of other items for these members. So if we leave it open, you know, it's quite difficult to actually properly plan for the execution of the elections itself.
Thank you very much, Alfred. Commander, continue to stay with us in the program. Good morning, Sarah Leone, live on your TV. Now we still have Dr. A.B. Davis, the flag bearer aspirant for the All People's Congress. Now, Dr. Davis, let's look at some of the things that you've done as a Sarah Leone. You know, over the years, we've seen people will come. They say, okay, I want to contribute to the development of Sierra Leone. But is it only through politics? Is it only through politics? You have other ways of doing it. What in a situation that you are not giving or you are not voting as the flag bearer aspirant for the All People's Congress? Will we continue to see Dr. Davis in the development of Sierra Leone, or you go again and come back when there is another election?
I have already contributed substantially to the development of Sierra Leone. I have built the capacity to manage the Sierra Leone economy. Most of the people managing the economy now were my students at the college. Even some ministers and top people at the central bank and other institutions. So I've contributed substantially. I was a consultant.
So do you think they are really doing well?
I think the problem with Sierra Leone is not the technocrats. The problem with Sierra Leone is the leadership. That is why I am stepping forward to vie for the flag bearership.
So, Doctor, you are saying that most of the people managing our finances today, some of them went through your tutelage.
Yes.
So now you are coming as their lecturer or their teacher. I'm asking, do you think your students are doing well?
The problem is not whether the students are doing well or not. Even if the students are good, and I believe many of them are good students, I know them. You can have the best students or the best economists in the world in technical positions. But if the leadership is lacking, if the leadership is poor, then they will not be able to give up their best. One of the things they always complain about is this, that they receive orders from above So they're not even allowed to use their expertise to make decisions.
What is even the guarantee that if you become the flag bearer aspirant and eventually become the president of Sierra Leone, you will not also use this same phrase that we are talking about?
Well, one, I believe in consultative leadership. Two, the above would be an enlightened economist. That makes a lot of difference.
So Dr. Davis, you have different flag bearer aspirants.
Yes.
They all have different messages. For example, you say JFK is saying joy is coming, Dr. Ibrahim Babangida is heal, unite and build. What is the message of Dr. Davis that should be lingering in the minds of the delegates of Sierra Leoneans in general?
My message is victory for Salone.
Why victory for Salone? I want you to put it in context.
That message or matter draws a comparison with managing with football, playing a football match. The people running the government are the players. Now, so far, they've been selling out. And by selling out, the Salone has been losing, Leone Stars has been losing. When I come, Captain Victor and his team will play the match fairly, will give off their best, and there will be victory for Salone.
You know, in football, we have what we call clinical players and we have technical players.
Okay.
Does Captain Victor has all that it takes to manage the clinical, technical, and all of these players to ensure that the victory that you are saying, we have the victory?
Captain Victor is an all-rounded world best player.
When you say, I would say this is a self-acclaimed world best.
You asked me a question, I have answered it, but if you want to find out, you can ask people who know me, people whom I've taught, people who have lectured at the college, for example, or people who have interacted with me.
Now you have the opportunity to convince those who don't know you.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying, that my record speaks for itself, my message speaks for itself, that yes, I don't need to steal, I don't need to be corrupt. I have been able to build myself outside of politics without access to government funds.
So you've been working for the IMF,
yes,
in Central African Republic, and even consultancies in government and so on and so forth. Can you just pinpoint one or two policies that have come from you that you think the country is benefiting? That layman can say, oh, I remember that thing. Can you just highlight?
Well, I wrote the first National Human Development Report for Sierra Leone, sponsored by UNDP, the UNDP National Human Development Report in 1996. I was also the consultant who wrote the second National Human Development Report in 1998. And those policies helped develop the capacity to manage the economy.
All right, so Doctor, now politics in Sierra Leone, not only in Sierra Leone, across the world is money. Do you think you have enough money to go into this context, and how strong is your team?
My team is strong.
To convince people to vote for you.
Money is a challenge, no doubt, because like you say, people are throwing money around and they have spoiled the game by doing that. But in spite of that, the members of the All People's Congress are yearning for somebody who does not just dish out money. They're yearning for somebody new, somebody different, somebody clean, somebody who can unite the party.
What will you say about the others who have also said that they are clean?
No, I don't want to comment on them. I'm here to speak, like you say, I'm here to tell the nation about myself, and that is what I will do. Yeah. So the people of the All People's Congress and the people of Sierra Leone, yes, there is poverty. Yes, they will take money because of the poverty, the hardship and all, but they're looking for change. They have learned their lesson. They're looking for somebody who can uplift them from the suffering that has characterized life entirely.
So finally, what are some of the things, the projects that you have undertaken, you know, as a Sierra Leonean, in a way of empowering young people, communities, to say these are some of my pointers for me to be elected. This is my starting point.
I formed the Wanjama Cultural Theatre. I created the Wanjama Cultural Theatre. I wrote the first play. I was the playwright, so I contributed to arts and culture there. I formed the Ginger Hall School League together with other people, and that school league helped develop future Leone Stars players. They featured in that league. Players.
Footballer.
I would say
Because you sing.
I am passionate about football. I'm not a professional footballer, of course, but I love football. And I was talking about the Ginger Hall School League, where people who featured, the players who featured in that league and went on to play for Leone Stars, they include Junior Parade, Junior Tumu, Balamoko, and others.
Okay, so which local club do you support?
Eastern Lions.
All right. Thank you very much. Please, Dr. Ebi Davis, well, Alfred Kamana, time is not our friend, and we only wish you all the best in this your campaign to be elected as the PRO of the Sheridan Bar Association. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming. Well, this is how we bring the curtain down for today's edition of the program. Good morning. Say hello. Many thanks to the production team here at Broadcasting House, especially our producer, Daphne, and our camera, for putting this program together. My name is Francis Bana. Do have a lovely and wonderful day. Goodbye.
And before we go, let's take the quote again. It's from American writer Mark Twain, and he says, whenever you find yourself on the side of the majority, it is time to pause and reflect. I have been Emmanuel Samuel. Good morning, Salon. It turns tomorrow same time. So goodbye and stay good to their service.
As a mother of the house, whenever I want to prepare palm soup, there's no need pounding palm fruit. All I need is Nkulenu's Ghana's original palm soup base. My soup is done, and its preparation, it is not difficult at all. Nkulenu palm soup base, it's easily done with no difficulties. Just take few ladles and your soup is done. And its flavor, it's amazing. This is Nkulenu's Ghana's original palm soup base. And this is Nkulenu's Ghana's original spice palm soup base. Iron fruit and turkey berries are naturally added.
Also available